violence policy. I think this is a local issue. I think it's one the principals need to be held account to. Some recent experience, I know my daughter's school, they sent home a letter to every 5th grade student about an incident. I can't talk too much about the incident, but it was just an acknowledgement of what happened and kind of a pledge and affirmation for the children and the parents to sign to make sure we don't engage in those kinds of behaviors. So I think that can be well managed there. One of the things we talked about at our school board retreat this summer, which I find very interesting, and there's a lot of research that this K through 8 model is kind of the way to go in terms of childhood development. And so the board was looking at and potentially will implement a situation where the 5th graders from a particular elementary school will stay within their own cohort at the destination middle school. And I don't know, maybe that'll alleviate some of those things, having kids more familiar with children from their elementary schools. You know, ideally, we could have K-8 facilities all over the city. Unfortunately, we don't. This past board was able to secure probably the largest capital funding in the city's history to build some new schools. Unfortunately, we're not like New Haven. Hartford only reimburses us 30 cents on the dollar. In fact, right now they're up there dragging their feet on some procedural and administrative things that are putting the brakes on the new schools we want to build in South Norwalk. That's unfortunate, but we're going to plow forward, and you know, we don't get 80 cents on the dollar like New Haven. We have a limited supply of funds. I firmly believe in capital outlays should be managed. You know, the city's by charter 100 years old, some 350 years old. Back to colonial times, and we make decisions on our buildings on a 12 to 24 month basis. It's ridiculous. The economic life of a government building is 50 years. We have 20 school buildings. Do the math. We should be replacing one every 2.5 years. Now that might be unrealistic in terms of what the taxpayers can afford based on our financing model that we're in with the state. But I know one of my passions for continuing this work on the board is to continue to get new schools built. The city has been throwing too much good money after bad. We just dumped $7 million into Cranberry. You couldn't tell. That building looks the same as it did in 1959. Certainly looks the same as it did when I went there many decades ago. And every time we do one of these projects, we always find some extra. Oh, there's lead over here, there's asbestos over there. And then it ends up costing 2 to 3 times what we expected. We got to cut the project in half, and we're left with an old building with some little modifications to it. So I think it's critical that the city of the future in the 21st and 22nd centuries gets on a consistent plan to get in the habit of build new schools all the time. Decommission the old ones, buy some land for a new one. In some cases, you won't be able to repurpose it, but anyway, it should be a plan that the next board and future boards continue to work on. Thanks.
So the good news is that technology is on our side as it relates to bullying and identifying it. I send out bots every day at work. Those bots are responsible for going out and crawling social media sites and returning to me the conversations that are being had in social media, the pictures that are posted on social media. And these bots are sophisticated enough to mimic, using artificial intelligence, convolutional neural networks and neural networks, which are responsible for understanding semantic sentence structure and sarcasm, and also breaking down component parts of an image. Why that's important is because it has the intelligence to flag conversations and posts that are indicative of bullying. And if you use systems like the Watertown and Waterbury police do of going into the school and presenting to the students that this technology exists and we can find you, and your parents can install apps to track these conversations, it's not just at the school board level. All of a sudden there's some accountability to what they're doing. Now we can trace what they're doing, and it has real consequences. But to that end, a lot of kids that are bullying, they're bullying because they've got something else going on. So I think it's really important that we continue to invest in the social emotional curriculum that is being put into place, and right now it's at the SGC level. I would love to see that be mandated across the city, because I do think that's extremely important.